weekly champion pool, the ones that he likes, and they also picked the Zed, so took that away. And what do you know? They do it again. Take away the LeBlanc from Takefun.
LeBlanc is gone. I'm expecting an Irelia ban just away from Kuban. It's pretty much a standard from anybody that ever plays against Reason. It was banned yesterday. Zed now off the table for Senkux. So Zed is banned. Victor is not enabled. Where does that leave Senkux? Ari has been a champion he's defaulted to a fair amount here. That would probably be his next high priority champion. He doesn't strike me as the player that's going to play an Orianna or a Karthus, something that we're seeing on 5.5. Just a heads up, 5.5 is the patch we're playing on. Bard is enabled. We're not expecting to see it. No.
I've spoken to a lot of the teams. They're just like, nope, not really practicing. Looking at other supports perhaps, but not Bard right now. We might see it from a couple of the teams. But there's the Irelia ban up against Kuban, of course. Ari as well, again aiming at Senkux. We saw this yesterday, and it's no surprise that the mid laners are really taking the focal point of these bans, and Lulu comes away as well.
Yeah, Lulu is very fast becoming on 5.4 and 5.5 a top tier ban. It just completely removes the ability to do any kind of Juggernaut composition that a lot of teams have started to adapt to. No jungle bans yet, though. We're on 5.5. There's the first one.
Yeah. Okay, so that will be the final ban, and now we're just waiting for the first pick in from Wonderwear, which will be the Rek'Sai for Broken Shard.
Which is exactly what you would expect on 5.5. With the tank junglers coming back and Rek'Sai maintaining her status as Queen of the Jungle, this is exactly what you would expect when there's only been 1 or 2 jungle bans in the ban's phase. So that's nothing surprising. Reason would have accounted for that. What do they want to take as their top tier picks here? What is available for them? We've seen, you know, a lot of junglers, now that Sejuani is out, a lot of junglers have preferred Gragas. I know Zayu is a player that has tried Gragas jungle before, and he is fast becoming that kind of second tier jungler along with Sejuani
and below the Rek'Sai. So there's a very good possibility we'll see that coming out from Zayu here. And again, it really is the question of where they put the prioritization. They may come in with some flex picks, of course, just keep it ambiguous, or they may even just lock in the Sion, which they do indeed. So the Sion pick comes in here, again, great in the 1v2s, great in just sitting up there, and they lock in an early Cassiopeia.
That is very ballsy, but at the same time is another of Senkux's high priority champions. Senkux banned his own LeBlanc because they don't want Takefun to have it. Zed and Ari both banned as well. That's a lot off the table here for Senkux. The Sion, a bit of a flex pick. Some people are trying it in the jungle. That could be a possibility, although it's not as top tier, but Team Dignitas bringing something a little bit different.
Yeah, so Janna picked up as well. I mean, we see Janna all the time, but here comes a Fizz, and yes, we've seen it in the LCS, saw it in North America, in fact, but it was played mid lane by Keen, where he went with this kind of tanky build. Then we saw Smitty J play it in the top lane as a kind of a split push assassin. So there's lots of places this can go. I'm very interested about it.
I'm expecting it to go into the top lane. We've seen that a lot in Europe here, especially players like Vizicachi, or if you'll excuse the pun, Vizicachi, when he plays it. I had to get
excuse the pun, you just made the pun.
I'm making the pun. It's all good. It's all good. We're going a little North American here on the puns, but yet we're still waiting. I'm expecting that to be top, as I said. I think the Morgana pickup here is... It's still good because you're able to kind of mitigate a lot of the crowd control, but a lot of Morganas that we see are flexed. Now this Morgana with a Sion in the game already, and if this Gragas gets locked in, really can only go down to support. There's too many other champions unless we're going to see something absolutely crazy here from Reason.
Yeah, especially with the Gragas coming in. I mean, that's going to be jungle. You're not going to put the Sion in jungle in this scenario, so we're only waiting on the AD carry from Reason Gaming.
And what this does give the AD carry is a lot of protection. Black Shield and Explosive Cask should keep whoever they pick for Celiver alive.
So are we looking for some backline diving here from Team Dignitas? They have the Fizz.
They have to try. They have to try and get something here, or something that scales equally as well as what Reason are having. The 2 AD carries that we're kind of seeing come back up alongside the Kog'Maw. Europe last week we saw a lot of Jinx from that AD carry position, and funnily enough, Cobby is actually showing us a second one that after Jinx has came up. Tristana, after the rework, people are starting to find out how she plays. I wonder whether we'll see it out of Team Dignitas. I'm expecting a scaling AD carry out of Reason.
Also got buffed in the last patch as well. Every time she auto-attacks a target who's been tagged by the explosive charge, she'll reduce her rapid fire by 1 second on that cooldown. Ooh, do have the lock-in of Syndra, so I guess that tells us exactly where that Fizz is going. The Fizz will most likely be going top with the Syndra mid lane into the Cassiopeia matchup, so we'll get to that in a second. There you go.
There we go.
There's the Jinx. So yeah, everything makes sense so far.
One thing that that I want to kind of note here is how far down the tier list that Senkux has gone. Senkux can play Syndra, but he's not a Syndra player.
Yeah.
He's not a Power of Evil. He's not somebody that is known for that single champion. And that means it's kind of tumbled down his list. So many mid lane champions of his were not available.
Victor gone, Ari gone.
The Victor ban is a massive boost to Reason Gaming here, and that's something you can't overlook. Syndra is still strong. We've seen it from Power of Evil in the LCS. Is it strong when you're not Power of Evil? Is the question.
I'm not doubting the Syndra, I'm doubting Senkux on the champion. Because, however, every week, yes, he's performed. Yes, even when we had Azir, he was great on Azir as well. I just haven't had the case studies to be like, he's been good in this game. He was good in this game. So, yeah, as you mentioned, how down the tier list has he gone?
Still a strong pick. Has the laning presence at level 6. If he can reach it before Cassiopeia, no reason why you can't blow Cassiopeia up, get ahead. Cass is going to want to scale along with the Jinx. There's a big period of the game where it's still fine for the Syndra. It's merely that I don't see Senkux play Syndra very often that it's interesting to me.
It's a little scary thing. But it's crunch time for the teams. But before we get into game, go to lolesports.com and cast your votes for the team you think will take home the win. And we'll check in with your thoughts throughout the match.
We will indeed. But my thoughts right now. We've got a double tank composition coming out of Reason Gaming with the Sion and the Gragas. On the other side, we've got a lot more of kind of a skirmish and get ahead with a lot of... the top side of the map here for Team Dignitas has a lot of power. Fizz, Rek'Sai, Syndra, you get a kill in one of those lanes and you can just continue to snowball that. There's a lot of pick potential. The only kind of time bomb is going to be Tristana. Need to buy time just for her to scale up a little bit. And they've got Janna for disengage as well.
But on the other side, you kind of have the same thing. You've got the Jinx who's going to be great late game. So is Cassiopeia. Her damage is going to get insane. But we're going to get into the game here. And we'll see how those picks work out. So yeah, back onto that point. Both of the teams have some late game punch to them. So kind of interested to see where these teams are going to be spiking, where they're going to be looking for the fights, and what power spikes they're going to be making use of.
Yes, that's a lot of questions, hopefully, which we'll answer here today. But this is a crucial matchup for Team Dignitas. They have to win here to get to the playoff bracket. If they win, they steal away Reason's spot.
Yeah, Reason Gaming have to win, so do Team Dignitas. This is so crucial for them because whoever wins, the other is going to be knocked out and have to re-qualify in the next season in summer. So
something kind of interesting here is something we're starting to see in European Challenger and just across other leagues as well. Sion is going to do the level 1 start where he dies. Interestingly enough, what he'll do is he'll just start with just a flask, and then when he backs, he'll either pick up potions and a ward with the extra money that he gets, or boots. It's a kind of a 50-50 on, depends on whether you get the lane swap that you want, whether you've got the sustain. So he's holding off. He's got about 130 gold, I believe it is, at 130.
By taking the camp, he should be up to around 320-ish, which is around boots if he wants it. We've mainly seen it on Hecarim. We might see it on Sion here. It depends what he's looking for, as you mentioned. But yeah, Hecarim really likes the boots because it gives him even more AD.
One thing people are looking for right now in this game is the lane swap, which I think is actually really smart on Reason's side. Fizz struggles in a lane swap. Sion does not. Sion is pretty much the best 1v2 top laner right now. So it's no surprise that they're going to try and put the pressure onto Wonderwear and try and make him crack early on.
Yeah, all he needs to do is yell at some minions, and he kind of just clears out the wave. So, Broken Shard here, starting on the Grump. I've learned that now there's a fungus. Thank you, Deficio. Oh, Wonderwear will be walking into the bush. Libic apparently doesn't even really notice for a couple seconds, and we'll just let him wander in there. Kubon will be starting up on this red buff.
Yeah, so
interesting. Is he going to take it? Can he take it with his passive?
He's just going to take the small ones because, remember, a lot of experience was moved over to the small ones. I wonder here, is he going to use...
He's going to try.
Yeah, wow. He has a lot of damage here.
There's red buff.
Okay, so...
And as he executes to the camp, it means that he keeps the red buff when he respawns.
Yeah, exactly. So what does he's not actually going to buy anything and is going to... Oh, it's a cloth armor. Okay.
And they're going for dragon.
That's interesting. I've not seen people do this with the cloth armor so much.
But they're trying to go for dragon with it.
Yes, exactly. Which, this is now a really interesting start out of Reason Gaming. And, you know, this is the kind of thing that
This is awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a really smart start here out of Reason. It's not going to work every single time you do this. This is a kind of strategy that you save for when you really have to get a
use,
win.
you know? It's when we were talking about the Vi level 3 taking the Dragon. It's going to happen once, but then after that, never again. And yeah, Kubon and Zayu take it right under the noses of Team Dignitas EU. That means they have the timer as well. Broken Shot's not going to know anything about it unless he goes down the river. So not only do they have that, but they have the timer, and they can set up for the next one. Zayu's also in the bot lane to assist Kubon. Now Broken Shot moves into the middle lane. Here's the tunnel. Will he go for the flash? Yes, he does. Knock up into the first blood. Will Senkuk's Syndra work out? So far, yes it is.
Lands the stun, gets exactly what they needed, and that's the thing with these lanes here from Team Dignitas. If they get them ahead, they have to force Reason to go late game, which is why the Dragon stat is so good right now. They've picked up a Dragon very early on in this game, and what that's going to allow them to do is bring the timer that they would get that 5th Dragon closer to the beginning of the game here. They're on track for a much faster 5th Dragon than they ever would, and with this double tank, high scaling composition, that puts a timer now on Team Dignitas. They need to get these lanes very ahead. They've started out in the right way with that mid lane gank from Broken Shard. It was a very clean gank as well, which is something that we've seen them have trouble with before.
Yeah, it was just perfectly executed. So both teams kind of just pulling out everything in this game to stay alive. You know, I was talking actually to Reason's manager, Simon, and he was saying how Reason Gaming have really just been trying their best to practice and bootcamp for playoffs. However, if they do not make playoffs, then you might as well use your strategies now to try and get into playoffs. So yeah, we'll see if that is the case. And of course, that level 1 strategy there definitely shows they're trying to use everything they can to keep themselves in this.
Yes, indeed. Now we've got Wonderwear being held by Broken Shard here. They're going to try and, you know, shove this, break any kind of freeze that Reason were looking to set up. That's a big wave being pushed in, but Wonderwear actually hasn't really been punished in this lane swap right now. I'd be interested to see how Reason actually set that one up, because that's a lot of CS onto a Fizz, more so than the Scion has been able to get. And as we said coming into this game, normally 1v2 Scion is pretty much king.
He is, and he's trying to get all that farm under turret, currently around equal with the top lane, who is now trading off against Libic and Saliver. Saliver will just return some damage and Broken Shard. Those are some flame chompers, don't walk into those. We'll just carry on clearing out these minions. So let's take a look at some of the differences between these lanes currently, and hold that thought because Libic is now moving on to Broken Shard. Ooh, managed to get the rockets down as well. Picks up a kill in that 2 versus 2. Wonderwell will use Libic as a jumping post for Urchin Strike, but he'll have to flash away behind his turret because Saliver was about to pick up a 2nd kill in that one. Completely outplaying them 2v2. Yeah,
this top lane is going pretty well here for Reason Gaming when you look at it now that that fight has happened. They managed to get a good kill off the first one and Wonderwear's flash. That means Fizz is not really going to be able to push forward because he'll have to burn mana through his E to try and get away. He's going to teleport straight back because they know there's not really any chance of them diving him. Zayu's actually pretty low himself down in the bottom lane as well. So this game is starting out a little bit more hectic than we've seen, but if anything we know from 5.5 is that it has changed so much in the game right now.
Yeah, it has, and you can already see that by the picks, but in this game, lots happening, lots of strategic diversity. And take fun here in the mid lane. Broken Shard going for round 2. Libic's there this time, but he gets blown up by Senkuk's Unleashed Power. He goes down without a fight, and Libic will just be the support sitting in the mid lane, trying to get all the farm he can.
And there we go. We kind of doubted the Syndra coming into this, but they've done exactly what they needed to with that pick.
Now.
Yes, now I am a believer, because they hit 6 on Senkuk's before they got it onto Takefun. Takefun's still only level 5. And they use the ultimate. That is exactly what you need to do on a Syndra lane once you hit 6, is coordinate that with your jungler, make sure you get the kill in lane. Now down to the bottom lane. This lane swap has not worked out so well for Reason when it comes to the bottom side of the map. The turret has gone down. Yes, they got the dragon, which is going to be back up in 2 minutes, but now they've lost a tower, and that gives a lot less dragon control now for Reason. They needed to stop that tower going down so quickly.
Yeah, and that means they are slightly behind in this game. Of course, the Dragon will kind of do more as we progress through the game because of the percentage stats it gives as the first Dragon buff. But the first tower going down to Team Dignitas EU. Now swapping their dual lane into the top lane means Wonderwell will be going up against Kubon, and he's already ahead in terms of the farm race, 36 to 23 currently. And in the mid lane, we haven't touched on it too much yet as Takefun kind of keeps dying, but 54 to 45 farm currently, so he's ahead in farm, he's ahead in kills. And in both of those ganks, in fact, Takefun still had his flash and ignite. they just CC'd him, and he was dead before he even hit the ground after being knocked up with the unburrow from Broken Shot.
That's one of the problems with Cassiopeia, is she's pretty squishy in her laning phase. So you get on top of her, and it's a pretty easy kill from there. But there's a gold lead pretty much on every lane here for Team Dignitas, and that is exactly what they need.
Yep.
But they still need to get further ahead against Reason Gaming. They have a good lead so far, but this double tank composition is going to scale quite well. The Tristana is going to be their saving grace in that situation. Fizz will also do a fair amount of damage. But it is all on how ahead they can get, and they are on a good track.
Yeah, potential engage there, spotted out by both teams, in fact, because of great warding coverage in that bush. And Voidal just places down the ward, just taunting Kuban as they know they have that warded as well. So he's used his Raptors to clear that on away. It wasn't even Raptors, it was his Trinket. So he won't have that again, but he does manage to get this pink ward in the mid lane for Take Fun.
Yeah, and Reason's vision control is all focused around stopping Broken Shard from getting into that middle lane. You can see that they've got, I believe it's 2 pink wards and a good few wards deep into the topside jungle as well, with some in river. So they're very concerned with Broken Shard continuing to snowball Senkux. And what these wards are also going to give them is the dragon control here. Team Dignitas are well aware that that early dragon was taken, so they didn't have an exact timer, but Broken Shard being around here, they know it's already being done. And Reason, even though they got the first dragon of the game, and now too afraid to sit here, Senkux is already level 8 here around this engage. And one big stun here onto the rest of Reason Gaming could absolutely annihilate their lineup.
Yep, he has both his summoners and his ultimate. Yeah, Take Fun has his own ultimate, but it's kind of harder to line up when you're not the ones engaging on the people starting the dragon. So they're going to disengage and just go for the housekeeping stuff, go for the blue buff, just go back to farming their lanes. And still, Senkux is opening up an even bigger CS lead in the mid lane.
Yeah, and it's not only the mid lane that there's a big CS lead opened up in either. Now that they've got the 1v1 matchup in what would be the top lane, Wonderwear, 62 CS to the 34 of Kuban. And we talked about Wonderwear as a player a little bit earlier. He has been hit and miss. Certainly this game he is on track to start demolishing Kuban a bit more here, and that would be a good thing for a young player like that, to kind of rejuvenate him heading towards potential playoffs.
Oh, maybe this is the third kill. Take Fun this time will get his flash down to save his life, but he still has to burn a summoner for that privilege. Broken Shot, every time he's come mid lane, he's gotten something.
And this is really good timing out of Team Dignitas. They get the mid lane flash. They know Take Fun is low on mana and is going to be too scared to really do anything around this fight now without his flash. So they're going for the dragon. However, Reason have started to react. The dragon's down.
Here comes Sion right into the side of Broken Shot. Wonderwell actually jump into that Urchin Strike and use the ultimate as well. Zayu goes down. Kuban will be soon to follow. This is becoming very bloody very quickly. Kuban now in passive form will just keep banning away at Senkux. Eventually he goes down, get punched to death. And Take Fun comes out away as well. No kills, but an assist to his name, a 2 for 2 overall.
Yeah, 2 for 2 overall, and it's Senkux that picked up pretty much both of those kills there for Team Dignitas. It just kind of, wow, okay, top. Just, God, Jinx. Jinx just died with flash and heal up.
Yep.
With both.
He did do that.
Okay. Right, Tower's going to die now as well.
Okay,
let's go back
to
this fight, because I'm still confused by top lane. We'll get to that in a sec. So it's a pretty solid dragon take here out of Team Dignitas off the nice mid lane gank. They know that Cassiopeia can't be here yet, so they managed to take this fight quite handily. This is where the problem happens. Even though Take Fun misses his ultimate here, they've still got enough damage from Kuban in his passive form, and it turns from Team Dignitas having the advantage to Kuban saying, "You're locked in here with me in my passive form," and gets himself a double kill there. All from that no flash. Let's take a look at this again.
Yeah,
What's the celebrate? Is it the tower explosion?
No, it's
Tell
the
me it's a 4 explosion on the tower. Oh dear.
Hashtag wrecked.
Oh, that's... I just looked at the screen and she was gone. It's... Wow. I don't think...
that's a new one.
I think clearly Celiva was not expecting that
No,
either.
I mean, like, honestly, how much Tristana have you seen before 5-5? Like, not a whole lot. And if you're not expecting the AoE damage, because it gets even bigger when it's on turrets.
Yeah, so
he just wasn't expecting it.
For anybody that hasn't seen much Tristana since the rework, essentially her E got changed to kind of like a bomb that you put on somebody, and then the more you auto-attack it, the more damage it does when it detonates, and it stacks up to 4 times. So that's what happened there. You can use it on turrets to deal extra damage in an AoE radius, and Celiva clearly was not expecting it. So, man, that's Cobby showing his strength on Tristana. He had a great game on Trist yesterday. He's on track for a good one today.
Yeah, and this one is kind of set up the same way. Like, he picked it into a Hecarim and a Swajrani, who both of which are just going to kind of run at him. And this game, we have a Sun who's going to run at him, and a Gragas who's also going to just body slam into him, so he can just get away from that.
One problem right now that Reason have is they're shoving mid lane, which they should be able to deal a lot of damage to. One problem they're going to have is that Cassiopeia is not going to have as much damage as you would expect, even with her scaling later into the game, because she's had to opt for that second Doran's and a Giant Spell towards the Rallies. But that's a very early Giant Spell and is a lot of money that should normally be going towards AP to give you more damage in these fights. All that's giving her is the health to survive, which in theory gives you more AP over a longer amount of time. But when you take a look back at last week's LCS game with Power of Evil playing Cassiopeia, so much more damage when you compare them. So it's all on Take Fun to land the Qs, get the Twin Fangs. Voidal. Oh, Binding hits.
It hits as well, right on the corner. Zayu comes in with the ultimate as well, gets the explosive cast into his ally, and Monsoon will keep him alive temporarily, and the seal as well. Wonderwear comes in from the top. 2 teleports come in, broken shot from the bot-hand side, and there'll also be Senkux joining the fray. That's 2 kills in favor of Dignitas EU, and somehow Jan is still alive. Kubon wants this one, even if it costs him his life. Glory and death. Can he get it? No, he's going to go down before he can even reach Voidor. That was disastrous from Reason Gaming. 3-0. Broken shot on the way to... Oh, his Raptors.
No, he could potentially look to save the turret here. It's enough to shove Take Fun off. It felt underwhelming a little bit, but just the presence from the Rek'Sai ultimate alone, there's a lot that just happened here, and it's all in Team Dignitas' favor. They're now pushing top lane as well at the same time, and with Dragon coming up in 2 minutes, they have a lot of control on this game. The top lane turret does die 8 kills to 3. And right now, that fight, beautiful dodge from Wonderwear, by the way. As the Sion ultimate was coming in, he playful tricksters his way out, and they managed to clean up the fight. Voidal stays alive, which is something we don't normally say too often. And Team Dignitas are in a fantastic position to knock Reason Gaming potentially completely out of the playoff bracket.
Incredible. I mean, honestly, just judging how they've performed so far during the round robin, we were always like, I just expected more. But Reason Gaming, if they fall out here, it could be insane from Team Dignitas EU here. And right now, Reason Gaming just trying to regroup, honestly, after that bad series of events. Around 6k behind right now, and Kubon is now pushing the bottom lane. Kobe's going to be here to stop him. And we were talking before about how the AD carries are working out, and right now I'm looking at Celeber, who's picked up the Berserker's Greaves and hasn't even finished a big item yet, compared to Kobe, who's already got his Infinity Edge.
And that is a massive deal with scaling AD carries. Normally their item spike comes at 2 items. When you have Infinity Edge and an attack speed item, Broken Shot should just disengage here. They don't want this fight. Let the turret go down. However, the fact that Celeber has had to pick up boots so often means he can't do what Kobe's doing.
Uses the ultimate as well, but he's already running in that direction, and he'll screen carrots as he gets back to his turret. Wonderwear into the mid lane, doesn't land a fish, but Zayu from the backside, so is Libic, trying to get this CC down. Doesn't quite manage to do so, and the Hurricane will come through. Doesn't really get anything apart from the trees.
Man, I really cannot emphasize just how important this AD carry disparity is between the two when it comes to damage. Once this attack speed item is completed onto Tristana, the amount of damage difference between Jinx and Tristana is going to be huge, and Team Dignitas will be able to clean up fights very well, because not only have they hit their AD carry item spike in the next minute or so, Fizz has his Trinity Force, there's a needlessly large rod on top of the Morellonomicon on Syndra. They have so much damage against this late scaling composition at a Reason that right now is probably not going to get into this game without this going very, very long.
Yeah, and that being said, though, Reason Gaming, if they do reach the late game, are in an okay position. As you mentioned, it's just kind of trying to get there at the moment for them, as Team Dignitas did secure their second dragon of the game. So all of the dragons so far, apart from that very first one that Reason Gaming managed to sneak away, has gone to Team Dignitas EU, plus those 3 objectives in terms of the turrets. They're just commanding this map.
Reason do still have the tools to get there, though. That's a very key thing to look at. They have disengage from Gragas. They also have kind of engage/disengage from Take Fun, depending on how his ult is used. And Sion is always going to become a presence in the late game. So Team Dignitas can't underestimate what Reason can still do with their composition, but they are ahead, and Zayu is alone.
He's caught out. Wonderwear from the backside. Libic as well. Dodges the dog binding. Senkos will flash forward. Tries to get the Endless Power. Will get it down onto the Morgana. Zayu has also fallen. That's a 2 for 0 plus the middle turret. And Team Dignitas constantly taking these advantages.
And they got the Dragon as well. Remember, this is a composition from Reason Gaming that they started the game taking the first Dragon with a very nice, unorthodox composition. However, they lost too much on the rest of the map from that. And now they've lost the next 2 Dragons, which means Reason's time to fight is just getting pushed further and further back in this game. This is a much different Team Dignitas than we've seen the entire round robin.
Yeah, honestly, this coming into this game, I was like, if there's going to be a, not stomp, but a game that's going to go far into one team's favor, I was expecting it to come from Reason Gaming after yesterday's performance. Dig managed to just get it. They did well, but it was still close as a game. This one is just going their way completely. Where did this Dignitas come from?
There's a couple of things that feel like they've changed in this game. Broken Shard is being decisive. His ults are on point to get across the map, and he's just been in front of turrets. He's been in lanes getting kills that he needs to get, and it's something we haven't seen out of him in quite a while. Senkux is business as usual. Cobby and Voidal seem to have found their stride as well, and Wonderwear is having a good game on top of that. That's not to detract from the Reason Gaming camp. That's just the feeling of this game is very different to the previous round robin games.
I would argue it hasn't been Broken Shard not being decisive, because he's been decisive in the wrong decisions. So I think in this one, his decision making has just been better, and capitalizing on that has been great. Wonderwear has been caught out in the jungle. They knew he was there as they had the ward. He will be trying to get away with his E, but being closed in by Zion Takefun, he's just taken out by sitting in a bush with a ward on it.
Just as we were singing the praises.
I know.
It's still fun.
And
like,
not.
That's his first death. It's there's still a lot to play for.
He's still done great.
That's going to allow Reason back into this. Libic is setting up a bit of a trap here. If he can dark bind Cobby here, teleport's coming through. Broken Shard checks into Libic. Great binding.
Right onto the behind of Cobby. This will be an engage coming out from Sion. There's the Soul Shackles onto 3 members. Zayu as well uses ultimate to CC them up. Zap comes through and tags Cobby on the way out. Broken Shard as well will be taking some damage. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Senkux blasts down Takefun with the teleport from behind. He will be trying to get in from behind. So will Wonderwear. He gets exhausted immediately. He'll jump down with a playful Trickster. It's not enough damage just yet, and he'll get chunked away by Kuban and Zayu. This literally happened 10 seconds ago, and now the rest of the team will have to disengage. Senkuk's the one-man army. He's going 1 versus 4, but he gets bound, and they will be able to take him out. Not before he destroys the raiding carry of Celiva, though, with that nice E at the end.
A pretty good fight overall for Reason Gaming. They came out ahead on the kill count, and they stop a little bit of the pressure that Team Dignitas were applying here. But man, that's not the vote I was expecting.
It's
when
not,
you look at it.
But coming into this game, that's what I thought too. I said it before, and I'll say it right now. Like, that's what I was expecting. But this game has not only turned my opinion around, but I'm sure a lot of viewers at home.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a weird one because this game is back and forth. As far ahead as Team Dignitas have been, they've let a couple of little things go to Reason Gaming. That fight being the biggest so far. And honestly, like, let's take a look at things, because Reason Gaming are on their way to their composition becoming as strong as it should be here.
Yeah, I kind of just want to take a second to recap what's happened, because so much has happened over the last couple of minutes. Let's take a look at the items first, as Dragon is spawning in 1 minute 30, but we do have Wonderwear now with his Trinity Force. He's had that for a while now. Mid lane, Senkux has again been getting further ahead. What's that? 7-2-2. We've seen that scoreline before. So he's got the Death Cap, he's got the Relinomicon, and another needlessly large rod. And as Takefun had that kind of dodgy laning phase, he's gone for the Royalized Crystal Scepter before going elsewhere in his item build.
Yeah, indeed. And looking back again to the AD carries, that was an important fight for Celiva. He picked up a double kill, finishes his Infinity Edge. He already has the level 2 boots, and now most of the way towards his attack speed item on top of that. So Celiva's caught up a little bit. From that fight, that has now brought Celiva almost in line to Cobby here. But it is all pretty much on the next fight with regards to those two. The difference in that fight was Cobby put himself in a completely bad position as they were in that lane. They pushed up, didn't check the bush, easy Dark Binding. The problem that Team Dignitas are going to have is they need to get to Celever in fights through the Gragas ultimate, through the Scion, through the Cassiopeia and the Morgana as well, and then get the kill on top of it. They have to burn a lot to get there, whereas if Kobbe steps out like that again, it's a lot easier for Reason Gaming to take control.
Yeah, but it's all about getting those mistakes from Kobbe.
Yes.
And it's him messing up, so we'll see if Reason Gaming can capitalize on some of those, whether they happen later on.
Whoa,
this could be a Baron for Dragon trade. Reason Gaming are really just pulling the trigger on this one, and that has not been warded up at all from Team Dignitas EU. They were actually fighting over crowd control, and Xayah was the one to push them away. This is all set up by Xayah.
Senkux is checking for it, though. He's at least heading over to that area. Broken Shard knows. They have a feeling that this is actually going on, and this Baron is dying very slowly because they don't have Jinx there. This is a horrendous mistake.
Again, this is the first kill going down. That's the second one coming out. Xayah does not have enough damage. Now Kuban in his passive form. Kobbe comes into the fight. He finds Levick. He goes down. That's a 2 for 0, 3 for 0. Make that 4 for 0.
My goodness.
All turns around. They take the Dragon, they take the kills, and they take the Baron. Team Dignitas running all over Reason Gaming, completely planned out.
Oh, that was just such a good read out of Team Dignitas there to get themselves over. And the problem was Reason. That would have been a great strat had Celever been with them. The Cassiopeia and the Scion were doing a good enough job already, but honestly, Reason Gaming didn't even need to go for that play. It was a good attempt, but it's the attempt that has now put them on pretty much lifeline here for their European Challenger spot. They somehow need to now overcome the Baron and the deficit between these two teams, which is massive. And Team Dignitas are now in absolute control.
12,000 gold over their opponents are Team Dignitas EU currently. 5 towers ahead, and they've taken an inhibitor, and they have Baron, and they have a third Dragon. They are winning in practically every single category, and they're just ahead right now. Senkux is doing his thing. He's killing everyone. He's 9-2 and 3. Even on this champion where we thought it was down in his tier list, apparently not. He can still perform on this versus Take Fun on this Cassiopeia, which was picked, I might add, very early into the draft. And we might see these two laners go head-to-head. There's the flash over the wall.
Can he
we saw that in laning phase.
Doesn't want to try for it.
Okay, but yeah, the Cassiopeia was picked early on. They were confident in the pick, and now he's 1-4.
Yeah, the Cassiopeia is the biggest thing here. Reason, I guess, were laughing to themselves, like, yeah, we got his Cassiopeia, now Victor's not there.
Got him now.
Ari, LeBlanc, everything's gone. No Zed for you. And he just goes, okay, well, I'll just pick a matchup that I actually like. It doesn't have to be an OP one for me as a player, but I'll just smash you, which, you know, we sing Senkux's praises so much. But it's things like this that make us, that just remind us of why we do it. As Scion
war.
Oh, dear.
He was screaming war, but all he found was a war. And ultimately, Team Dignitas will just walk away from it. It was a Jinx Rocket also coming through, which didn't hit any targets. And most likely, Reason Game will just try and reset here and just wait for their cooldowns again as Kuban teleports up to the top lane. So teleport advances now over to the Team Dignitas EU. Wonder where going underneath the turret. This is a Smitty J tactic. Yeah. Oh, and he actually gets it this time. Kuban will be falling down there. He's in his passive form, but that also opens up the opportunity for Team Dignitas to go for the bottom turret. They're just pushing in everywhere in this base. Now the top lane as well is being pushed in. Xayah was trying to wave clear it, but they'll probably be losing a second inhibitor here as they try to defend the bottom turret.
Yeah, they will indeed. And you know, that fight for Kuban looked okay. He was like, why is Fizz going on me? Why is he ulted? Because Syndra's there too. And that's an easy fight for them to take. And Team Dignitas are in a fantastic position. We said it was do or die. They needed the 2-0. And if Xayah falls here...
Which he does. He goes down. Bottom will be fighting as well. Take Fun with a return ultimate. Lands onto free. That will be Kobbe on the front lines who gets called out. Livic does land the binding when it matters. But the top side, that's Wonderwear coming in to assassinate the support. Take Fun versus the world. Can he do it? Senkux is there and he says, no, sit down. I am the king of the challenger mid laners right now. And now they will go for those Nexus turrets. Unbelievable stress. Team Dignitas EU take this series 2-0 and knock Reason Gaming out of the challenger series. And they will have to re-qualify in summer. Team Dignitas, they secure their playoff spot.
That is a fantastic performance out of Team Dignitas. That is the one that we were expecting before the season when they were SK Prime. When we were talking about what teams could make it, who will get out, who's going to be in the top half, we said that they have the ability to do it. And there are players on that roster that can bring them there. And Senkux has showed again and again with the rest of the team now, I'm a lot more confident in the rest of the team after that performance, that they may be a contender here. If they play like that, I mean, we've even seen that Origin unbeatable. It's a mountain of a task, but Team Dignitas now, I believe they can only take 4th. So they are fated with Origin. We will double check that and make sure.
But still, making playoffs from a team who was 2-6 coming into the week, who we were just like, they're pretty much done here unless they 2-0, and they performed. They really took it home, and that was really impressive. Like, that was the same as yesterday, but on steroids, because they just brought it home to Reason Gaming. And Reason, the team we were kind of speculating how they were going to do in playoffs, is just gone. They're in 5th place now. They can't escape that. And they'll have to requalify in summer. They'll have to battle all the challenge teams all over again. And that's a big hit to Reason Gaming, you know? Like you mentioned before about the expansion tournament, so close to actually just making it into the LCS right out. They took a 3rd place. This time around, they're just slipping. And they're falling behind all of these challenger teams.
This week, if this week's just proof that Challenger is crazy.
Yeah, if you had told me the results coming into the week, I would have called you crazy. But after watching yesterday's games and then watching this game as well, anything can happen.
Crazy. And that's only game 1 of our day as well. But I mean, congratulations to Team Dignitas for securing their spot. That is a big, big point that we have to make.
Indeed. So let's take a look at the standings now from that win and what that means. So now, it's currently Team Dignitas EU taking the spot away from Reason Gaming, who are now dropped into 5th. And Dignitas, we'll see here, because they will not be playing in the playoffs at all.
Yeah, Team Dignitas on the head-to-head. You just saw the 2-0 over Reason Gaming. Secures them a spot, and with that spot secured, they are fated to play against Origin, which... as you can see, there we go. We're locked in. Semi-final 1, which takes, or semi-final 2, takes place next Wednesday. The Origin Team Dignitas matchup, and that is going to be a good matchup. If that last game is anything to go by, Senkux in the mid lane against Peke, Broken Shot against Amazing. There's some interesting matchups there in that head-to-head.
Yeah, I think I said something stupid. I think I said Dignitas are out. They're not out. They're in 4th currently. Yeah. But yeah, in the scoreboard there, you just saw that they were tied, but because they won the head-to-head, because they went 2-0, it just means they've beaten them. So
yes,
if there was any confusion over that, because apparently my brain was confused.
It's okay. I mean, I'll be honest. While this might sound slightly bad-mannered, I think if you look at the first half of the season, Team Dignitas, and the end of my brain would be a little bit confused. If you told me that on week 2, I'd have been like, not so sure about that. However, they have improved. That was the improvement that we needed to see from them, and I'm happy to see it's been made.
Yeah, they delivered. So while these two teams' fates are out of their hands, the rest of the teams still have to fight to solidify their positions heading into playoffs.